can see the grain of the wood paneling. Even now, months later, I can close my eyes and see every line in that judge's bench. The way the afternoon light cut through the courtroom windows and made everything look simultaneously too bright and too heavy. My lawyer's hand was steady as she slid the document across the table, crisp white paper, the kind that whispers expensive when you touch it. The trust accounting. 3 years of records. Every deposit, every distribution, every denial, every truth. My mother sat 15 feet away, her posture perfect, her face arranged in that expression I'd seen 1,000 times, wounded righteousness. She looked smaller in that chair than she did in my memories, but somehow she still took up all the air in the room. Her attorney, a man she'd found on Facebook probably, kept glancing at his watch. My aunt was in the gallery behind us. So was my cousin Jeremy. 2 people. That's all who came. 2 people to watch my mother try to ruin me or watch me save myself. I'm still not sure which they were hopping for. The judge lifted the document. I watched his eyes move left to right, scanning. My heart was beating so hard I thought everyone could hear it, this wet thudding rhythm that didn't match the silence. My lawyer had told me that morning, over burnt coffee in the courthouse cafeteria, when he reads this, it's over. Just breathe. But how do you breathe when your own mother has told everyone you know that you're a thief? How do you breathe when the document that's about to save you is also about to destroy whatever was left of your family? The judge cleared his throat. Counsel, I've reviewed the trust accounting. Let's proceed. That's where it ended, or began, depending on how you look at it. But to understand what that document meant, to understand why my hands were shaking and my throat was tight and my mother's eyes were starting to show the first flicker of fear, you have to go back. 6 months back. To the moment my entire life detonated over a phone call I almost didn't answer. It was a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays I leave work early for my standing therapy appointment, the one I'd started after Dad died, the one that was supposed to help me process my grief, but mostly just made me feel like I was paying someone to tell me it was okay to be sad. I was in my car, halfway to Dr. Brennan's office, when my phone lit up with my Aunt Linda's name. Linda never calls. She texts, badly, with too many emojis and incomplete sentences. A phone call from Linda meant someone died or someone was dying. Hello. Sweetheart. Her voice had that thin, stretched quality, like she'd been crying or was about to. I need to ask you something and I need you to be honest with me. My stomach dropped. I pulled into a parking lot. What's wrong? Is Mom okay? Your mother is telling people you stole from her. The world did that thing it does in movies, where the sound gets muffled and far away. What? She called me this morning. She's called everyone. Your Uncle Mike, the Hendersons from church, half her book club. She says you took money from her, $40,000 from the trust. I sat there with the engine running, heat blasting even though it was June, staring at a Panera Bread sign across the parking lot. Linda, that's not true. I know, honey, I know, but she's telling everyone. She posted about it on Facebook. She didn't use your name, but everyone knows who she means. She said her daughter has cut her off from her own money and stolen from the family trust, and she doesn't know how she's going to survive. My skin went cold. She posted it on Facebook. About an hour ago. Sweetie, what is going on? I didn't go to therapy that day. I sat in that parking lot for 20 minutes, then drove home, then sat in my driveway for another 10, and then I went inside and opened my laptop with hands that didn't feel like mine anymore, and I looked. The post was there. Public, 83 reactions, 37 comments. I never thought I'd be in this position, but I'm asking for prayers. My own daughter has taken control of the family trust and refuses to let me access my own money. I've discovered that $40,000 is missing and she won't explain where it went. I raised her to be better than this. I don't know what happened to the girl I knew. Please pray for her soul and for my situation. I may lose my home. The comments were exactly what you'd imagine. So sorry you're going through this. And some children have no respect. And you deserve better. And from my cousin Ashley, I always knew she was stuck up. I slammed the laptop shut. Opened it again. Read it 3 more times. Each time I thought maybe I'd misunderstood, maybe it was about someone else, maybe this was a nightmare. It wasn't. My mother, who I called every Sunday, who I drove to every doctor's appointment, who I'd held while she cried at Dad's funeral, had just told the entire world I was a thief. The trust, God, the trust. If I could go back and tell my father not to leave it, I would. Except I wouldn't, because without it, I'd have nothing left to stand on now. My dad was a planner. Not in a controlling way, just in that steady, quiet way some men are when they've grown up with nothing and built something and want to make sure it doesn't disappear. He worked for the same aerospace company for 33 years. He maxed out his 401k every year since I was in middle school. He bought their house in cash in 1998 with money he'd saved in a coffee can and then a savings account, and then, when my mom finally let him, a mutual fund. My mother was not a planner. She was beautiful and spontaneous and kind when she wanted to be, and completely, chaotically incapable of managing money. I watched it my whole childhood. The credit cards that appeared and maxed out and got paid off by Dad, the investment opportunities from her friends that vanished along with thousands of dollars, the shopping bags hidden in the trunk so Dad wouldn't see. He didn't control her. He tried to protect her from herself. There's a difference, though it took me 30 years to see it. When I was 16, Dad sat me down at the kitchen table and taught me how to balance a checkbook. Not because it was some useful life skill. This was 2004. Everything was already going online. But because he wanted me to understand something my mother never would. Money isn't about having it, he said. It's about knowing where it is. When I was 23 and graduating college, he gave me a binder. Inside was every financial document I'd ever need. My birth certificate, my social security card, the title to the used Honda he'd helped me buy, and a copy of his will. I'm not dying, he said when he saw my face. But if I do, I need you to know where things are. Your mother won't want to look. You're going to have to help her. He was right. He died 4 years ago, heart attack in the driveway, quick and cruel, and Mom couldn't even find the bank statements. I spent 3 weeks organizing his files, contacting his benefits administrator, closing accounts, opening new ones. She cried and thanked me and said, "I don't know what I'd do without you." The trust was his last gift. He'd set it up 2 years before he died when he got the diagnosis he never told us about. Stage 2 colon cancer. He did the treatments quietly, told Mom he was handling some health stuff, and remissioned before she could panic. But it scared him. Scared him enough to hire an estate attorney and put everything, the house, the retirement accounts, the life insurance payout, into a revocable living trust. He made me the successor trustee. Not Mom. Not my brother Eric, who was older but who'd already burned through 3 jobs and a bankruptcy by 35. Me. The attorney, a kind woman named Patricia Lim, explained it to me at the reading. Mom got the house for her lifetime. She got monthly distributions, enough to cover her bills, her groceries, her life. But she couldn't touch the principal. She couldn't sell the house and blow the money. She couldn't withdraw lump sums for emergencies that turned into timeshares or multi-level marketing schemes. The trust was designed to take care of her for the rest of her life, and then whatever was left would go to me and Eric equally. Your father wanted to make sure she'd be okay, Patricia said, but he also knew she'd need someone to manage it. That's you. You're the one who'll make sure the bills are paid, the distributions happen. You'll have to say no sometimes. It's not easy. I thought I understood. I thought it was just paperwork. I thought my mother would appreciate it, would see it as my father's love for her, his care extending even past death. I was wrong. For the first 2 years, it was fine. I paid her bills from the trust account. I sent her the monthly distribution, same day every month. She called to say thank you. When she wanted to redo the kitchen, I explained that the trust didn't allow for that, but I helped her apply for a small home equity line instead. She was disappointed, but she got over it. Then last year, something shifted. She started asking for more. An extra $1,000 for Christmas shopping. $5,000 to help Eric, who'd gotten behind on child support. $10,000 because her friend Janet had an investment opportunity in a medical startup. I said no, not because I wanted to, because the trust terms didn't allow it, because Dad had seen this coming. She didn't yell, she cried. She said I was being controlling. She said Dad would have wanted her to be happy. She said, "You're just like him, you think I'm stupid with money." I tried to explain. I showed her the documents. I offered to have Patricia call her. She hung up on me. And then, 6 months ago, she stopped speaking to me altogether. And then she told everyone I'd stolen from her. Sitting in my living room that June afternoon, scrolling through the Facebook comments, watching people I'd known my entire life agree that I was a terrible daughter, I finally understood what my father had known all along. The trust wasn't just to protect her. It was to protect me. The Facebook post was just the beginning. By Wednesday morning, my brother Eric called. Not to ask if it was true, not to check in, just to accuse. "What the hell did you do?" His voice was sharp, angry in that way he gets when he's already decided you're wrong. "Mom says you stole from her. She says there's 40 grand missing from the trust." "Eric, that's not." "She's crying, okay? She called me at 6 in the morning, crying, saying she might lose the house. What am I supposed to think?" "You're supposed to ask me if it's true before you decide it is." Silence, then, "So where's the money?" "There is no missing money. The trust is fine. She gets her distribution every single month, same as always. I've never taken a penny that wasn't." "Then why is she saying this? Why would she make it up?" And there it was. The question that didn't sound like a question. The assumption underneath it. Mom wouldn't lie, so you must have done something. "Ask her to show you proof," I said. My voice was shaking. "Ask her for bank statements. Ask her for anything. She won't have it because it didn't happen." "You've always been cold to her," Eric said. "Ever since Dad died. She tells me how you talk to her, how you control everything." "I'm the trustee. That's what Dad wanted. If you want to see the documents." "I don't want to see shit. I want you to fix this. She's our mother." He hung up. I stood in my kitchen, staring at my phone, my coffee going cold on the counter. The morning light was coming through the window above the sink, the same light that usually made me feel calm, purposeful. Now it just felt exposing. My phone buzzed. A text from my cousin Ashley, really classy, airing family stuff on social media. "Mom says we're not supposed to invite you to Grandma's birthday thing." Another buzz. "My Uncle Mike, your mother called very upset. We need to talk about this." Another, a former coworker who was Facebook friends with my mom. "Hey, saw your mom's post. You okay? That sounds rough." I turned my phone face down. Then I picked it up again and opened the family group chat, the one we'd had for years, the one where we shared recipes and bad jokes and planned holiday dinners. 23 new messages. I scrolled up. "My Aunt Carol, I can't believe this. My name has always been so good with money, I'm shocked." "My cousin Jeremy, there's always two sides." "Ashley, Dad's money and she thinks she can just keep it. Disgusting." "Eric, I talked to her. She's being defensive." My mother hadn't written anything in the chat. She didn't have to. Everyone else was doing it for her. I typed out a message, *, none of this is true. I have documentation. Mom receives every cent she's entitled to, *, and then I deleted it. Typed it again. Deleted it again. They'd already decided. Evidence wouldn't matter. I could show them the trust documents, the distribution records, the full accounting, and they'd find a way to make it my fault. Too controlling, too cold, too much like Dad. I left the group chat, just pressed the button and left, watched the conversation disappear from my screen. It didn't make me feel better. On Thursday, I got uninvited from my Uncle Mike's retirement party. The message came from my Aunt Carol, who didn't even pretend to soften it. "Given the current family situation, we think it's best if you sit this one out. We don't want any tension." On Friday, my mother's best friend Janet saw me at Trader Joe's and turned her cart around to avoid me. I watched her do it. Watched her see me, watched her eyes go wide, watched her actually back up and go down a different aisle. Like I was dangerous. Like I was something to fear. On Saturday, I drove past my childhood home. I don't know why, I just did, and saw Eric's truck in the driveway. He was there with her. Probably hearing more about how awful I was, probably nodding along. Sunday, I didn't call her. For the first time in 4 years, since Dad died, I didn't do our Sunday call. I sat on my couch and looked at my phone at 2 p.m., our usual time, and I did nothing. She didn't call me either. Monday morning, my boss pulled me into her office. "Hey, I need to ask you something, and I want you to know it's not an accusation. It's just, I got a weird call this weekend." Sharon looked uncomfortable, wouldn't quite meet my eyes. "Someone called asking about your employment status and whether we do payroll garnishment. They said they were a family member and there was a legal situation." My face went hot. "Who?" "They didn't leave a name. I told them I couldn't discuss employee information, but I needed to let you know." She paused. "Is everything okay?" "It's fine, family stuff. It's handled." It wasn't handled. It was wildly, catastrophically not handled. I made it back to my desk and opened my email. Sitting there, sent at 1:47 a.m., was a message from my mother. No subject line. "You have stolen from me and you know it. I raised you better than this. Your father would be ashamed. If you don't return what you've taken and release the trust to me like you should have done years ago, I will have no choice but to take legal action. You have 1 week." I read it 4 times. The thing that broke me wasn't the threat. It was your father would be ashamed. I went to the bathroom and cried in the stall for 10 minutes, the kind of crying where you have to bite your hand to keep quiet. Then I washed my face, fixed my makeup as best I could, and went back to my desk. At lunch, I sat in my car and called my therapist. "She's lying," I told Dr. Brennan. My voice sounded strange, distant. "She's lying and everyone believes her and I don't know what to do." "What do you want to do?" "I want to disappear. I want to give her all of it, every cent, just to make this stop." "Would that make it stop?" I closed my eyes, watched the red darkness behind my eyelids. "No." "What else do you want?" The answer came up from somewhere deep, somewhere I didn't know I had access to. "I want everyone to know the truth. I want them to see what she's doing. I want her to—" I stopped. "To what?" "To face consequences, for once in her life." My hands were shaking. "Is that awful? She's my mother and I want her to lose." "You want her to stop hurting you," Dr. Brennan said quietly. "That's not the same as wanting her to lose." But it felt the same. That night I pulled out every document I had. The trust instrument, the distribution records, 3 years of bank statements, emails from my mother asking for extra money, and my gentle refusals with explanations. I spread them across my dining room table and I looked at them. This was the truth, right here, paper and numbers and timestamps. But truth doesn't matter when no one wants to hear it. Unless you make them hear it. I opened my laptop and searched, trust and estate attorney near me. Patricia Lim's office was nothing like I expected. I'd imagined something sterile and corporate, all glass and steel, but it was in an old converted house downtown, with creaky wood floors and built-in bookshelves and windows that actually opened. The receptionist offered me tea, chamomile or English breakfast. I took chamomile because my hands were already shaking and caffeine seemed like a bad idea. Patricia was younger than I remembered from Dad's estate, maybe 50, with silver streaks in her black hair and glasses on a beaded chain. She shook my hand firmly and gestured to a chair across from her desk. "You said on the phone this was about the trust your father set up. What's going on?" I'd practiced this. I'd written down what I was going to say. But when I opened my mouth, it all came out wrong, too fast, tripping over itself. "My mother is telling people I stole from her. She says there's $40,000 missing from the trust. She posted it on Facebook and now my whole family thinks I'm a thief, and she sent me an email threatening legal action and I haven't done anything wrong. I've done everything exactly like the trust says. Every distribution on time, every expense documented. I have records of everything." "Breathe," Patricia said, not unkindly. I breathed. "Did you bring the documents?" I'd brought everything. The trust instrument in its blue folder, every quarterly statement, every distribution record, a printout of every email between me and my mother about money, screenshots of the Facebook post, the email threat. I laid it all on her desk like evidence at a trial. She didn't rush. She put on her glasses and read. Started with the trust instrument itself, the one Dad had signed 4 years ago, then the distribution records, then the emails. I watched her face, Watched for judgment, for doubt, for the flicker of maybe this daughter really is a thief. I didn't see it. What I saw, after about 15 minutes, was her mouth pressing into a thin line. "Okay," she said finally. "Let me make sure I understand the situation. Your mother receives a monthly distribution of $2,500 from the trust, correct?" "Yes, every month, first business day." "And she's claimed you've stolen $40,000. "Yes." Patricia flipped back through the statements. "In the past 3 years, has there been any withdrawal of $40,000, either as a lump sum or accumulated smaller amounts?" "No, just the monthly distributions. And the house expenses, property tax, insurance, repairs, all documented." She nodded slowly, pulled out a yellow legal pad and started writing. "Walk me through the last time she asked you for money beyond the distribution." I told her about Janet's medical investment opportunity. $10,000. I'd said no because the trust didn't allow discretionary investments. I'd offered to help Mom look at the opportunity herself with her own distribution money if she wanted to save up, but she'd gotten angry, said I was treating her like a child. When was this? February, maybe early March. And when did the accusations start? The Facebook post was 2 weeks ago, but she stopped talking to me around April. Patricia wrote something down, underlined it twice. "Have you at any point taken money from the trust for your own use, even legitimate trustee fees, which you're entitled to?" "No, nothing. I didn't even know I could take fees." She looked up at me. "You've been doing this for free, for 3 years." "She's my mom. It's my dad's money. I just wanted to," my voice cracked. "I just wanted to take care of her like he asked me to." Patricia took off her glasses, rubbed the bridge of her nose. "Here's what I'm seeing. Your mother asked for money the trust doesn't permit you to distribute. You correctly refused. She's now retaliating by accusing you of theft and threatening legal action to either coerce you into giving her what she wants or to have you removed as trustee so she can access the principal." The word *retaliation hit me like cold water. That's what this is. That's what it looks like to me. The 40,000 is probably either a number she made up or, she flipped through the statements again, stopped. "Actually, I think I know what it is. Look at this." She turned the page toward me. It was a statement from 18 months ago, from before I was trustee. My Uncle Todd had been the initial successor trustee, just for the first year after Dad died, until he moved to Arizona and asked me to take over. There was a notation. Beneficiary distribution, $40,000 estate settlement. "What is that?" I asked. "That's the lump sum your mother received right after your father died. It was a one-time distribution from the estate before everything rolled into the ongoing trust. It's legitimate. It was probably designated in the will as a separate bequest. But she spent it. And now she either genuinely doesn't remember that she already received it, or she's pretending she didn't." The room tilted slightly. "She got $40,000 and spent it, and now she's saying I stole it." "It's possible she's confused." "She's not confused." My voice came out hard. "She knows exactly what she's doing. She wants more money and I won't give it to her, so she's burning me down to get it." Patricia didn't disagree. She pulled the trust instrument closer. "If she does follow through and takes legal action, files a petition to remove you as trustee or sues for an accounting, we go to court and we show the judge all of this. The full accounting, the distribution records, the trust terms, it will be very clear very quickly that you've done nothing wrong." And then what happens to her? The court will likely dismiss her petition. If her attorney is any good, they'll advise her to drop it before it gets that far. If she's made defamatory statements, and this Facebook post probably qualifies, you could countersue. I don't want to sue my mother. I know, but you need to understand your options. She leaned forward. Here's what I recommend. We prepare a full trust accounting, a formal one, the kind you'd present to a court. Every dollar in, every dollar out, fully documented. We send it to her with a letter from me explaining that the trust has been properly administered and inviting her to retract her accusations. If she doesn't, and if she files a legal action, we're ready. And my family, The people who already think I'm a thief. Patricia's expression softened. The accounting is a legal document. It proves the truth. But I can't make people read it, and I can't make them believe you. Some of them won't, no matter what you show them. I already knew that, but hearing her say it out loud made it real. How long does the accounting take? 2 weeks, maybe 3. She gave me 1 week, in the email. Let her sweat. Patricia's smile was small, sharp. You've been doing everything right. Let her be the one who's afraid for once. I left her office with a retainer agreement and a plan. My hands had stopped shaking. I didn't feel better exactly. But I felt something that tasted like anger and looked like hope. I felt ready. Patricia called me 3 days later. The accounting is almost done. Before we send it, I need to ask you something. What's your goal here? I was at my desk at work, pretending to review a budget spreadsheet. What do you mean? I mean, do you want this to go away quietly, or do you want the truth on the record? Her voice was measured, careful. We can send her the accounting with a letter demanding she retract her statements. Most of the time, that's enough. The other party sees they have no case and it ends. But sometimes... She won't retract. I didn't even have to think about it. She'll double down. She'll say I fabricated the documents or I'm hiding something. Probably, Patricia agreed. So we have another option. We send the accounting, she sees she's wrong, and if she's smart, she shuts up. But if she's not, if she actually files a petition to remove you or sues for mismanagement, then we go to court. We put this in front of a judge. We get a legal ruling that says you did everything right and she has no claim. It becomes part of the public record. You want to let her sue me. I want to give you the option of letting the court clear your name, not just to her, but to anyone who's questioned you. A judge's ruling is a lot harder to argue with than a letter from an attorney. I thought about Eric, who'd hung up on me, about Ashley, who'd called me disgusting, about my Aunt Carol, who'd uninvited me from the retirement party, about every single person who'd seen that Facebook post and believed it without asking me a single question. If we go to court, I said slowly, does it have to be public? Probate court is public record, yes. Anyone could look it up. Good. There was a pause. Then Patricia said, I need to be clear with you. This will burn bridges. If your goal is to reconcile with your mother, with your family, this isn't the path. She already burned the bridges. I'm just making sure everyone sees the ashes. I was quoting what I'd said to myself in the mirror that morning, trying to sound braver than I felt. Okay then, I'll have the accounting ready by Friday. When she makes her move, we'll be ready. The accounting arrived as a PDF in my email that Friday evening. 63 pages. Every distribution listed by date and amount. Every expense, property tax, homeowner's insurance, the plumber who'd fixed the water heater, the roofer who'd replaced shingles after the hailstorm. Every request my mother had made for additional funds, and my response, with the relevant trust language cited. A full reconciliation showing that every penny was accounted for. And on page 12, highlighted, the $40,000 distribution from 18 months ago, marked as one-time estate settlement distribution to beneficiary per decedent's will. I printed it, all 63 pages, put it in a binder, held it in my hands and felt its weight. This was the truth, documented, time-stamped, irrefutable. Now, I just had to wait for her to give me the opportunity to use it. I started keeping a record of everything. Patricia had suggested it. If this goes to court, we'll need to show the full scope of the defamation. So I screenshot every Facebook comment on that original post. I started a document logging every phone call from family members, every text message, every time I was uninvited or excluded or accused. I saved the email where my mother threatened legal action. I saved the voicemail from Eric calling me selfish. I even noted the date and time that Janet turned her cart around at Trader Joe's, though I don't know if public avoidance counts as evidence. It felt pathetic and powerful at the same time. Pathetic because I was documenting my own family rejecting me. Powerful because every entry was proof. My mother tried to call me twice. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail the second time. I don't know why you're avoiding me, but this is very hurtful. We need to discuss the trust situation. Call me back. I didn't. She texted, "You can't ignore this forever." I didn't respond. Patricia called it gray rock. Make yourself uninteresting, unresponsive, not worth the effort. Give them nothing to work with. It felt cruel. It felt like the only way to survive. At night, I pulled out the trust instrument and read my father's words. The legal language, yes, but also the provision he'd written himself, that Patricia said most people don't include. I appoint my daughter as successor trustee because I trust her judgment, her integrity, and her strength. I know this role may require her to make difficult decisions. I ask her to honor my wishes even when doing so is hard, and I ask my wife to respect the boundaries I've put in place. This trust is an act of love for both of them. I read it over and over, even when doing so is hard. He'd known, somehow he'd known. The family confrontation came on a Saturday. My cousin Jeremy texted me, "Family meeting at Mom's house tomorrow 2 p.m. Everyone's coming. You need to be there." I almost didn't go. I typed out "I'm not coming" asterisk 3 times and deleted it. But then Patricia's voice was in my head. If she escalates in front of witnesses, let her. Stay calm, say nothing, and document it. So I went. They were all there. My mother, of course, in her chair by the window, the one that was always hers. Eric on the couch, arms crossed. Aunt Carol and Uncle Mike at the dining table. Jeremy by the door, like he was worried he'd need to escape or block me from leaving. I couldn't tell which. Ashley wasn't there, which was something. My mother's face when I walked in, I'll never forget it. Surprise first, then something that looked almost like fear, then a mask of wounded dignity. "I'm glad you came," she said. "We need to settle this." I stayed standing, didn't sit, didn't take off my jacket. "Settle what?" "The money you took from the trust." 8 eyes on me. The living room suddenly felt very small. "I didn't take any money from the trust. $40,000 is missing." "No, it isn't." My voice was level, calm. I'd practiced this. "The trust has been administered exactly as Dad set it up. You receive your monthly distribution. All expenses are documented. There is no missing money." Eric leaned forward. "Then show us the records." "I've prepared a full accounting. 63 pages, every transaction for the past 3 years. My attorney will be sending it to Mom this week." "Your attorney?" My mother's voice went high, theatrical. "You're involving lawyers now, against your own mother." "You threatened legal action." I responded appropriately. Uncle Mike cleared his throat. "Now, let's everyone just calm down. Name, your mother says you've been controlling her access to her own money, that you refuse to let her make her own decisions. The trust controls the distributions, not me. I'm following Dad's instructions." "Your father would want me to be taken care of." My mother stood up now, her voice shaking. Real tears in her eyes or performed ones, I genuinely couldn't tell anymore. "He wouldn't want me to have to beg my own daughter for money. He wouldn't want me to be afraid of losing my home." "You're not losing your home. Your expenses are paid. You get $2,500 a month for living costs. The trust is doing exactly what Dad designed it to do." "I need more than that." And there it was, the truth underneath everything. "The trust doesn't allow for more than that," I said quietly. "I can't change the terms. Dad set them. If you want to challenge the trust, you'll need to petition the court." "So you're saying I have to sue you, my own daughter?" "I'm saying if you believe I've mismanaged the trust, the court can review the accounting and make a determination. That's how this works." The room went very quiet. "You've changed," my mother said finally. Her voice was soft now, sad. "Ever since your father died, you've become so cold, so hard, I don't even recognize you anymore." It was an expert performance. I saw Jeremy's expression soften. Saw Aunt Carol look at me with something like pity. "I'm the same person I've always been," I said. "I'm just not doing what you want anymore." "Get out," her voice cracked. "Get out of my house." "It's the trust's house, actually, but I'm leaving." I turned and walked out. Made it all the way to my car before my hands started shaking. Sat in the driveway for 5 minutes, breathing, watching the front door like someone might come after me. No one did. I drove home and wrote down everything that had been said while it was fresh. Then I emailed the notes to Patricia. Her response came 10 minutes later. Perfect. Let me know when she files. She filed 3 weeks later. The petition arrived via certified mail. Petition for removal of trustee and full accounting. My mother was alleging mismanagement, self-dealing, and failure to provide adequate distributions to the beneficiary. She was asking the court to remove me, appoint a neutral third-party trustee, and conduct a full forensic audit of the trust. I called Patricia immediately. "We expected this," she said calmly. "This is good, actually. Now we get to respond with our accounting and evidence, and a judge will settle it definitively." "When?" "Court date will probably be set for 6 to 8 weeks out. I'll file our response this week." 6 to 8 weeks. It felt like forever. It felt like tomorrow. The Facebook post my mother made that night. "I've been forced to take legal action against my own daughter to protect my rights. Please continue to keep me in your prayers. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do." 112 reactions, 53 comments, all sympathetic. I didn't screenshot it right away. I sat with my laptop open, staring at it, reading the comments from people who'd known me since I was a child, all of them certain I was the villain. "So brave of you. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Family is everything. I can't believe she'd do this to you." Then I took the screenshot, added it to the folder, logged the date and time. Patricia was right. Some people would never believe me, no matter what the court said. But the court would say it. That was enough. The next 6 weeks were the longest of my life. My mother's campaign intensified. She did an interview with the local community blog, one of those neighborhood news sites that mostly covers restaurant openings and high school sports. The headline: "Local woman fights for financial independence after daughter takes control." It was all lies, wrapped in enough truth to sound plausible. Yes, her late husband had set up a trust. Yes, I was the trustee. But the way she told it, I'd swooped in and cut her off from her own money, isolated her, refused to explain where anything went. The article didn't use my name, but everyone knew. I stopped going to my regular coffee shop because the barista gave me a look. I switched grocery stores. I stopped posting on social media entirely. Eric sent me one text: "You're really going through with this, taking mom to court." I replied, "She took me to court. I'm defending myself." He didn't respond. The loneliness was crushing. I went to work, came home, reviewed documents, practiced what I'd say if the judge asked me questions. Patricia sent me the response we'd filed, 30 pages with the full accounting attached as an exhibit. She walked me through what to expect. "It'll be in a probate courtroom, less formal than you're probably imagining. The judge will review the pleadings ahead of time. Your mother will have a chance to present her case. Her attorney will probably put her on the stand. Then we present our evidence. The accounting speaks for itself, but I'll call you as a witness to walk through your duties as trustee." Will I have to confront her directly? "You'll be in the same room, but you'll be speaking to the judge, not to her." I couldn't imagine it. My mother, 15 feet away, listening to me defend myself against her lies. The woman who'd raised me, who'd taught me to read, who'd braided my hair before school, who'd held me when I cried over my first breakup, who was now trying to destroy me to get what she wanted. I had moments of doubt. Late at night, staring at the ceiling, I'd think, maybe I should just give her the money, liquidate part of the trust, give her a lump sum, make this stop. But then I'd remember my father's words, honor my wishes even when doing so is hard. And I'd remember that this wasn't really about money. It was about control. If I gave in now, it would never end. There would always be another emergency, another opportunity, another reason I owed her. The trust wasn't just protecting her future, it was protecting mine. 2 days before the hearing, I went shopping. I needed a suit, something I could wear to court, something that made me look competent and credible and like someone who could be trusted with a family's future. I found one at Nordstrom on sale, navy blue, fitted, professional. It cost more than I wanted to spend, but I bought it anyway. Armor, I thought, as the saleswoman wrapped it. I'm buying armor. The night before court, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed running through everything. What I'd say, how I'd say it, whether I'd be able to hold it together or whether I'd cry on the stand, whether my mother would look at me, whether I'd be able to look at her. At 3 a.m., I got up and made tea and sat at my kitchen table with the trust document in front of me. Read my father's words again. I trust her judgment, her integrity, and her strength. I hope you're right, I whispered to the empty room. I hope I'm strong enough. The document didn't answer, but somehow I felt like he had. At 6 a.m., I got up and showered, put on the navy suit, did my makeup carefully, not too much, just enough to look pulled together, looked at myself in the mirror. I looked tired, I looked scared. I also looked ready. Patricia had told me to meet her at the courthouse at 8:30. The hearing was at 9:00. I got there at 8:15 because sitting alone in my car felt safer than sitting alone at home. The courthouse was downtown, old limestone with modern glass additions, the kind of building that's been added onto so many times it doesn't quite match itself. I found parking, walked to the entrance, went through security. Patricia was waiting in the lobby, looking calm and professional in a gray suit, her leather briefcase in hand. "Ready?" she asked. "No, yes." "Remember, you've done nothing wrong. The documents prove it. All you have to do is tell the truth." We took the elevator to the 3rd floor, probate and family court. The hallway was quiet, just a few people waiting on benches outside courtroom doors. Courtroom 3C. We went inside. And there she was. My mother sitting at the opposite table with an attorney I didn't recognize, a young man, maybe 30, in an ill-fitting suit. She looked smaller than I remembered. Older. She was wearing the blue dress she'd worn to Dad's funeral. She looked up when I walked in. Our eyes met. She looked away first. I sat down next to Patricia at our table, pulled out my copy of the accounting, even though I didn't need it. Patricia had everything. My hands were shaking, so I folded them in my lap. People filed in, a court reporter, the bailiff, my Aunt Linda, who slipped into the gallery and gave me a small, tentative smile. At least one person. And then the judge entered. "All rise." I stood. This was it. The truth was about to become the only thing that mattered. The judge was a woman, maybe 60, with short gray hair and reading glasses on a chain. She settled into her chair, opened a folder, and looked out at both tables. "This is the matter of the petition for removal of trustee in the estate of," she read my father's name. Hearing it out loud, in this sterile room, made something twist in my chest. "Counsel, are both parties present?" My mother's attorney stood. "Yes, Your Honor. Margaret Chen appearing for petitioner." Patricia Lim for respondent. Patricia's voice was steady, calm. "All right, this is a petition for removal of trustee and full accounting. Ms. Chen, I've reviewed your pleadings. Your client alleges mismanagement and self-dealing. That's a serious accusation. What evidence are you presenting today?" The young attorney, Chen, shuffled his papers. "Your Honor, we're prepared to call the petitioner to testify regarding the respondent's refusal to provide adequate distributions and her failure to account for $40,000 that the petitioner believes is missing from the trust." The judge looked unimpressed. "You believe it's missing, or you have evidence it's missing?" "The petitioner has been unable to obtain clear records." "Has she requested a formal accounting?" Chen hesitated. "Informal requests have been made." "Informal requests aren't the same as following the trust's dispute resolution procedures, counselor. But we'll hear from your client. Call her." My mother stood. She looked frail walking to the witness stand, one hand on her attorney's arm for support. I'd seen her walk just fine 3 days ago at the grocery store. I'd driven past and seen her loading bags into her car. But today she moved like someone elderly and wronged. She was sworn in, sat down, folded her hands in her lap exactly the way I was folding mine. Chen walked her through it. When had Dad died? When had the trust been established? When had I become trustee? And when did you first become aware of problems with the trust administration? About a year ago. My mother's voice was soft, sad. My daughter started refusing my requests for money. Money I needed for medical expenses, for home repairs, for basic living costs. Did she explain why? She said the trust didn't allow it. But it's my money, my late husband's money, meant to take care of me. I don't understand why I have to ask permission like a child. Have you received any distributions from the trust? A small amount each month, $2,500, but it's not enough. The house needs work. I have medical bills. I asked her for help and she refused. And the $40,000. My mother's eyes got shiny. I know there was a larger amount that I was supposed to receive. Right after my husband died, I never saw it. When I asked her about it, she got defensive and stopped talking to me. It was such a careful lie. Not she stole it, just I never saw it. Plausible deniability. Chen nodded sympathetically. What would you like the court to do? I just want someone neutral to look at the trust. Someone who isn't my daughter. I want to make sure everything is being handled properly and that I'm receiving what my husband wanted me to have. Thank you. No further questions. The judge looked at Patricia. Cross-examination. Patricia stood. She didn't move toward my mother, just stood at our table. Ma'am, you testified that you received $2,500 per month from the trust. Is that correct? Yes. And is that distribution paid on time each month? My mother hesitated. Usually. Usually or always? Always. Has the respondent, your daughter, ever missed a payment or paid you late? No. Has she ever paid herself trustee fees from the trust? I don't know. The answer is no, she hasn't. She's administered this trust for free for 3 years. Did you know that? My mother's jaw tightened. No. You testified that you asked for additional money for medical expenses. What medical expenses specifically? I have doctor's appointments, medications. Are those covered by your Medicare and supplemental insurance? Some of them. Are your insurance premiums paid by the trust? A pause. I believe so. They are. That's in the accounting. What about home repairs? What repairs did you request funds for? The roof needed work, and the kitchen is outdated. The roof repair after the hailstorm last year, was that paid for by the trust? My mother shifted in her seat. I think so. It was $3,200 paid directly to the roofing company. That's also in the accounting. The kitchen remodel, was that a necessary repair or an elective renovation? The kitchen is from the 1990s. So an elective renovation, which the trust terms don't provide for, is that correct? I don't know the trust terms. She never explained them to me. Patricia picked up a document. Your Honor, I'd like to enter into evidence this email chain from March of last year, in which the respondent sent the petitioner a copy of the trust instrument and offered to schedule a meeting with me to explain the terms. She handed it to the bailiff, who brought it to the judge. My mother's attorney looked like he wanted to object but didn't know how. The judge skimmed it. This shows a good faith effort to educate the beneficiary. Continue, Ms. Lim. Mrs. Patricia used my mother's name, gentle but firm. You mentioned $40,000 you believe you were supposed to receive. Do you have any documentation of this? A provision in the will, a letter from your husband, anything? I just know there was money. Do you recall receiving a lump sum distribution of $40,000 approximately 18 months ago, shortly after your husband's estate was settled? The courtroom went very quiet. My mother's face changed. Just for a second, a flicker of something, realization, maybe, or fear. I don't remember. You don't remember receiving $40,000. It was a very difficult time. I was grieving. Of course, but you did receive it, didn't you? I may have. I don't, it's all very confusing. And if you spent that money, would it be fair to say it isn't missing? It was received and spent. My mother's attorney stood. Objection, argumentative. Sustained. Move on, Ms. Lim. Patricia nodded. No further questions, Your Honor. My mother walked back to her table. She wouldn't look at me. Ms. Lim, call your witness. The respondent calls the trustee. That was me. I stood, my legs felt strange, not quite steady, walked to the witness stand, put my hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth, sat down. The chair was still warm from my mother. Patricia walked me through it methodically, my relationship with my father, how he'd asked me to be trustee, what my duties were, the monthly distributions I'd made, never late, never missed, the expenses I'd paid, the requests I'd denied, and why. Why did you deny the request for the kitchen renovation? The trust instrument specifies that discretionary distributions can only be made for health, education, maintenance, and support. A kitchen renovation didn't fall under those categories. Necessary repairs do, and I've always approved those. But elective upgrades aren't permitted. Were you trying to punish your mother? No, I was following my father's instructions. Have you ever taken money from the trust for yourself? Never. Not even the trustee fees you're entitled to under the trust terms. No. Why not? I looked at my mother for the first time since taking the stand. She was staring at the table. Because she's my mom. Because my father asked me to take care of her. I thought if I did everything right, if I was careful and responsible and fair, she'd see that I was trying to help. My voice cracked. I hated that it did. Patricia let the silence sit for a moment. Then, Your Honor, I'd like to present the full trust accounting. It's been provided to opposing counsel and to the court as Exhibit A. The judge already had it in front of her. She'd clearly read at least some of it before the hearing. Now she opened it fully, flipped through the pages. This is very thorough, she said. Every transaction for the past 3 years is documented. Your Honor, if you turn to page 12, you'll see the $40,000 distribution the petitioner testified about. The judge turned to page 12. Read. Her eyebrows went up slightly. This shows a one-time estate distribution of $40,000 paid to the petitioner 18 months ago. Mrs. She used my mother's name. Did you receive this payment? My mother's attorney whispered something to her. She nodded slowly. Yes, I think I did, but I thought that was separate from the trust. It was part of the estate settlement, which then funded the trust, but you did receive it. Yes. So when you claimed $40,000 was missing, you were referring to money you had already received and spent. Silence. Mrs., I need an answer. I suppose so, but I thought I was supposed to have more. The judge closed the accounting, took off her reading glasses, looked at my mother with an expression I couldn't quite read. Ma'am, I've reviewed this accounting and I've reviewed the trust instrument. The trustee has administered this trust exactly as directed. You receive monthly distributions that, frankly, are quite generous. Your essential expenses are covered. The trustee has denied only those requests that fall outside the scope of the trust's purpose. That's not mismanagement. That's proper administration. She turned to me. You've done nothing wrong. In fact, you've done exactly what your father asked you to do, and you've done it without compensation, which shows significant dedication. Something in my chest loosened. The judge looked back at my mother. I understand you're frustrated that you can't access the principle for discretionary spending, but your late husband set up this trust specifically to prevent that. He wanted to ensure you'd be taken care of for the rest of your life, not that you'd have access to a lump sum you might spend too quickly. That's not a judgment, it's reality. Trusts like this exist because the person who created them understood the beneficiary's tendencies and wanted to protect them from those tendencies. My mother's face was red. Shame, anger, I couldn't tell. The petition for removal of trustee is denied. The accounting is accepted as filed. The trustee will continue in her role. And Mrs. The judge's voice got firmer. If you make any further public statements claiming your daughter stole from you, you should be aware that could constitute defamation. She would have grounds to sue you. I strongly suggest you retract any such statements you've made. She banged the gavel once. We're adjourned. It was over. I don't remember standing up. I don't remember walking out of the courtroom. I remember Patricia's hand on my elbow, steady, guiding me into the hallway. I remember my Aunt Linda hugging me, hard, whispering, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't believe you." I remember seeing my mother come out of the courtroom with her attorney, her face a mask of controlled rage. She looked at me, really looked at me, and for just a second I thought she might say something. Apologize, maybe, or at least acknowledge what had just happened. Instead, she turned and walked away. Her attorney mumbled something about advising my client regarding next steps and followed her. Eric had been in the gallery. I hadn't even noticed. He came out and stood there, hands in his pockets, looking uncomfortable. "I didn't know," he said finally. "About the 40,000. She told me you took it." "I know. The judge said you've been doing this for free." "Yeah." He ran a hand through his hair. "I should have asked you. Before I should have asked." It wasn't an apology, not really, but it was something. "Yeah," I said, "you should have." He nodded, looked like he wanted to say more, didn't know how. Finally, "For what it's worth, I'm glad you were right." Then he left too. Patricia walked me to my car. "You did beautifully in there. You should be proud." "I don't feel proud. I didn't know what I felt. Empty." "That's normal. You just proved your integrity in court against your own mother. There's no version of that feels good." She squeezed my shoulder. "But you did the right thing. And now it's on the record. Anyone who doubted you, anyone who matters, can look up that ruling and see the truth." I drove home in a daze, sat in my driveway for 20 minutes before going inside. My phone was full of messages. "Aunt Linda, I owe you the biggest apology. Lunch this week." "My cousin Jeremy, just talked to Aunt Linda. I'm sorry I didn't give you a chance to explain." A number I didn't recognize. "This is Janet. I heard what happened in court. I'm so sorry for avoiding you. I should have known better." And one from Eric. "Mom's not talking to anyone, for what it's worth." Nothing from my mother. I waited for it, the angry text, the tearful voicemail, the attempt to spin the court ruling into something else. But there was nothing. The Facebook post was gone. I checked 3 times. She deleted it. The silence should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt like loss. That was 8 months ago. I'm still the trustee. I still send my mother her distribution on the first business day of every month, like clockwork. I don't do it directly anymore. It goes through Patricia's office, just to keep everything clean and professional. My mother cashes the checks. She's never missed one. We don't speak. Eric texts me occasionally. Surface stuff. "Happy birthday, Merry Christmas, did you see the Broncos game? We had coffee once. It was awkward but not hostile. He's trying, I'm trying. We're both pretending the chasm isn't as wide as it is." Aunt Linda and I have lunch once a month now. She apologized approximately 600 times before I finally told her it was okay. I understood. She'd been put in an impossible position. I don't know if I believe that entirely, but I want to. She's family. She's the only one left who will look me in the eye. The rest of the family scattered. Some people apologized. Some people just quietly unfollowed and moved on like it never happened. Some people still think I'm the villain, just one who got away with it because I'm good with paperwork. You can't control what people believe. I've made peace with that mostly. I'm in therapy twice a month now instead of weekly. Dr. Brennan says I'm doing well. Grieving the mother you thought you had, she calls it. Some days are better than others. I still have the trust document. I keep it in the fireproof safe now, with my passport and birth certificate and the few pieces of my grandmother's jewelry I inherited. Sometimes I take it out and read my father's words. I trust her judgment, her integrity, and her strength. He was right to trust me. I know that now. The thing no one tells you about standing up for yourself is that you can win and still lose. I won in court. I proved I'd done nothing wrong. I cleared my name, protected the trust, honored my father's wishes. And I lost my mother, maybe not forever, but for now, maybe forever. I don't know yet. Some days I'm angry about that. Some days I'm sad. Most days I'm just relieved. Relieved that I don't have to defend myself anymore. Relieved that the truth is on the record. Relieved that I can look at myself in the mirror and know I did the right thing, even when the right thing cost me almost everything. There are things I learned, things I wish someone had told me before all this started. Document everything. Not because you're paranoid, but because memory is fallible and people will rewrite history to suit their needs. Paper doesn't lie. You can't reason someone out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. My mother didn't accuse me because of evidence. She accused me because I wouldn't give her what she wanted. No amount of explanation was ever going to change that. Blood doesn't entitle anyone to abuse you. Family is supposed to mean love and support and safety. When it doesn't, you're allowed to protect yourself, even from your own mother. Protecting an inheritance isn't greed. My father worked his entire life to build something that would take care of the people he loved. Honoring that wasn't selfish. It was the last gift I could give him. And maybe the most important, sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no. I said no to my mother a dozen times. She hated me for it. But if I'd said yes, if I'd given in and liquidated that trust, she'd be broke right now. The money would be gone, and she'd be back to asking for more, except there wouldn't be any left. The trust is still there, still funding her life, still doing exactly what Dad intended. I saved her from herself, even though she'll never thank me for it. I think my father knew it would come to this. I think that's why he wrote that provision, the one about having the strength to make hard decisions. He was giving me permission to say no, permission to hold the line, permission to let go of her approval if that's what it took. I wish it hadn't taken a courtroom to prove I was worthy of that permission, but I'll take it. My life is smaller now, quieter. I work, I see my friends, I have lunch with Aunt Linda, I go to therapy, I send the monthly distribution. I'm dating someone cautiously, slowly, someone who knows the whole story and didn't run. I might be happy. I'm working on it. And every month, on the first business day, I log into the trust account and I authorize the distribution and I think about my father, about the careful way he planned for this, about how he trusted me to be strong enough. I was strong enough. I am strong enough. If you're reading this, if you're listening to this, wherever you are, and you've ever been accused of something you didn't do by someone who was supposed to love you, I see you. If you've ever had to choose between your own integrity and someone else's approval, I see you. If you've ever had to take a parent or a sibling or a spouse to court just to prove you're not a liar, I see you. Drop a comment if this resonated with you. Tell me where you're listening from. It helps to know I'm not alone in this, that there are other people out there who have had to make impossible choices and live with the aftermath. And if you believe that the truth matters, even when it costs you everything to tell it, hit that subscribe button, because we need to keep telling these stories. We need people to know that standing up for yourself isn't cruelty, it's survival. The truth came out. It took a judge and 63 pages of documentation and the loss of almost everyone I loved, but it came out. And I'm still standing. That's enough.